Hey, it's Anthony Whitaker here, and welcome to today's episode of the Grow My Salon Business podcast. And if you're watching this on YouTube and you find this video inspiring, then make sure that you hit the like or the thumbs up button. It's a small thing that you can do, but it does go a long way to help me with the podcast. And if you like this type of content, then let me know in the comments below the video and make sure that you like and subscribe to the channel. And if you're listening on your favorite podcast app, then remember to leave us a review and share the podcast with those that you know will benefit from today's message. Now, as you may already know, we are launching our online salon management course on Monday, the 28th of April. So to register, just check out the link in the show notes of today's podcast or go direct to growmysalonbusiness.com/course/management. And remember, I'll put that link in the show notes of today's episode. So with that said, on with today's show. Now, over the years, I've seen many salon businesses, but to be honest, only a few of them really stand out. Now, some of them stand out because of the decor, others because of the culture that they have, some for the size of their business, and some for their success financially as a business. Now, my guest today is Meagan McCormack. She is the president of Visible Changes Salon Group in Houston, Texas. And Visible Changes is, without doubt, an incredible business. So in today's podcast, we discuss how a salon group the size of Visible Changes has continued to evolve as a business, how they've adapted to suit the changing needs of today's workforce, and why they're expanding more into the product side of the industry, and lots more. So without further ado, welcome to the show, Meagan McCormack.
Hi, Anthony. Thank you.
Right?
Yeah, you got it right. You got it right.
All right. Okay.
It's amazing. Yeah, I love it.
Now, our audience aren't going to know what we're laughing about, but for some reason, I have a little bit of a problem pronouncing certain words the way that they're meant to be pronounced. Just put it down to my accent in whatever shape or form.
There we go. Yeah.
Right. So listen, it's fantastic to have you back again. And we last spoke in 2019, which is a long time ago. I decided to re-release that episode. It was episode 5, and as I told you, we re-released it earlier on this year in March, and we had another great response to it. And I had quite a few people reach out to me and say that they loved it, and could I do an update? So because the world's changed a lot since 2019. Absolutely. And I don't want to talk about the C word any more than what we have to, but it's upended your business, it upended everyone's business, and you've got an incredible business, and it's just interesting to see how different size businesses have handled it. So when I reached out to you and said, could we do another episode, you were very gracious and said, as long as you don't mispronounce my name, we can do it. So anyway, on a serious note, if you're listening to this and you have not listened to the first episode, please do so. It was re-released as episode 285, and that came out very recently in March. Mm-hmm. And I want you to do that because Visible Changes is an incredible business. I mean, I've seen a lot of businesses all over the world, and I was blown away by your business. And I know there's been a lot of changes in it since then. And you were so sort of open and transparent the last time around. And I know we're going to have a great conversation this time because we've obviously already had a little bit of a warm up. So, Ms. McCormack, what's changed since 2019? Ooh. Just as sort of a snapshot, and then we can dig into the good stuff.
Yeah, I mean, man, so much has changed. We were scheduled to have our celebration, our conference at the end of March in 2020. We were a week and a half away when we got shut down. And then we got shut down. We were shut down for about 6 to 8 weeks. And when we came back, our stations at our salons are 5 feet apart, and we had to be 6 feet apart. So we completely split our shifts. We had every other station working. Our team was only working 2 days a week. They were being subsidized by the government. That shifted our business a lot. We wanted them to come back to work, not only because we wanted them to be able to make more money, but we also wanted our clients to be able to come in and feel good, right? It was a very scary time, a lot of unknown, a lot of fear, No news outlet was stopping the fear, right? Everybody was
Mm,
just kind of feeding into it, and nobody knew what happened. Nobody knew what was going on. I think it's the first like global pandemic maybe ever in this lifetime at least. And so it was scary.
mm,
And at that point, we had 18 locations. No, at that point, we had less, maybe. I think we had closed in 2017, actually. So at that point, we had 13 locations.
mhm.
And coming back from COVID, I closed our Austin location. So we had 2 in Austin. So we came back as 11. In 2021, we had about, I think, 7 or 8 people at our Dallas location. 3 of our top people, our most senior people, walked out the exact same night, came in, packed their stuff up. And so we held that salon open for another 60 days for our landlord. And then we ended up closing that location at the beginning of 2022. And so then we were down to 10. We have a smaller location. And when I say small, our small location was probably about 3,000 square feet.
Mhm.
And we closed that one and moved our team over to one of our larger ones, which is about 4,500 square feet, so that we could build that one up. And then recently this year, I had 2 in San Antonio, and I closed one and I moved the team over to the second one so that we could fill that salon. So
Okay.
we've had a tough time keeping salons filled. Our smallest location now is about 4,500 square feet. Our largest location now is just under 12,000.
Right. Okay. And so I've seen, is that Memorial City, the 12,000
Yes.
one? Right. Okay. So that's a salon that I remember when I saw it, there was like 130 odd staff in there. And
Yes.
it's probably the biggest salon that I'd ever seen. So you've closed the small ones, but you pretty much kept the bigger business, the bigger salons. Yeah.
Yeah, I've really wanted to create more like powerhouses.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
try to fill them up, keep them as busy as we can, and then let's see what we can do.
Right. Okay. Now, the other thing that's changed, which you didn't mention then, is that you're now the boss. Because I remember in 2019, you had the world's best title. I've always
Yes,
loved this title. I talk about it all the time to people because your title was Chief Happiness Officer, wasn't it?
yes.
And
I never relinquished it.
you
I've
didn't,
just
right?
added to.
Okay. So now it's CEO slash Chief Happiness Officer.
Well, no, actually, technically, I think my dad is still CEO.
Okay.
So I grew from CHO to COO, Chief Operating Officer. Now I'm
Okay.
president, and still, Chief Happiness Officer. Johnny gave me that title when we were working together, and at that point, everything I talked about was happiness, right? How do
Hmm.
you be happy with where you are, with who you are? And that's kind of been my due north. Like, how do you fall in love with you? How do you become the best version of you? How do you not wait until you achieve all these things to get happy, right? How can you
Mm.
be happy now?
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
if you can't be happy now, you're never going to be happy then.
Yeah. Okay. That makes
So,
perfect sense.
yeah. And
Yeah.
so, I'll
Now,
keep that title still.
yeah, I'm glad you are because I'm curious about like, okay, your mum and dad, John and Marianne built this incredible business, and
Hmm.
I know they've now retired. I mean, I don't think John will mind me saying he's 80, and your mum's 78,
Hmm.
and they're still keeping good health, etc. But essentially, you now run the show.
Hmm.
And Johnny's no longer, your brother, no longer
Yes.
involved in the salon business. And that is a big beast of a company to run. There's a lot of staff, there's a lot of responsibility, a lot of livelihoods. And so you bring a different energy to it. So, what I'm curious about with the downsizing of the business, etc.,
Hmm.
and hopefully that the people that listen to this now would have listened to the first one, with the downsizing of the business, how's the sort of culture of the business change? Because that's always been one of the really strong points, I would have said, of visible
Hmm.
changes, that they have this amazing internal culture. So, how's that evolved?
Well, thank you for that. My parents did an incredible job, and loyalty was it wasn't even a question when they built, right? Like that's just how people were.
Mm,
I don't know that it's really what this generation is all about, but also like, I think this generation has watched their parents and maybe they worked for companies that weren't great to them, right? And so I think instead of judging the next generation of being so bad and doing all these things, it's just what I've really focused on, especially in the last 5 or 6 years, is let's focus on us. I'm tired of talking about booth rental. I'm tired of talking about all the things that can go wrong. I'm tired of talking about the outside. In my opinion, we don't really have competition on the outside. Our competition is us. How do we get better than we were yesterday? How do we grow? How do we evolve? And how do we make sure that even if we're screwing up, that we can be kind and we can be gracious? Mainly with ourselves first, because I think most people want to succeed and they want to do well, right? Nobody's waking up in the morning saying, hey, I really want to screw up the day and I want to do terrible.
Mm.
So we know that we're trying to do the best that we can. Mental health is a huge thing now. And so learning how to help, and not even help in, hey, I'm going to give you advice or do all these things, but just holding space for people to say, like, I'm really struggling. Great. What are you struggling with? And if you don't want to share, you don't have to. But if you do, I'm here.
Mm.
Right? We go out to our staff twice a year, and that's been my number one shift with my management team is I need you guys to listen first, right? Like the first question and sit down should be, how are you? Then we can start to say, okay, is there anything that what do you love about this place still? Is there anything that you think we can improve, right? And then go into, okay, now let's coach you. Let's talk about your numbers. Let's talk about your growth. Let's talk about where you want to be. But we have to have the check-in as a human first, right? We need the connection. And I think that's the same thing with our clients too, is there are so many different industries where you go in and you don't really have a human touch anymore. Hair is never going to be that. We have to be able to connect. We have to be able to do that. And we're one of the only professions, I think we're one of 5 professions where we can touch you without asking. Especially in this day and age, that's a really big deal,
It
you
is.
know? So it creates an intimacy and a vulnerability. And I want to make sure that we are also doing that with our team. I want them to feel safe. I want them to be able to call and say, you know what? I've had a personal life issue happen and I need help, or I don't know what to do and I don't want to bring it in. And I'm like, you know what? Let's talk about it.
Mm.
And let's make sure that it's not affecting you at work, because we need to show up every day still. And we always say, leave your baggage at the door.
Mm.
Some days that's harder than others.
Yeah.
But I am also like, let's shift the perspective a little bit. How about this? How about you use today as an escape? Just escape all the problems that you have outside and just focus on the people that you're with. Because for whatever reason, they're supposed to be with you today and you're supposed to be with them.
Mm.
And so I think our culture has shifted in, I have one major rule. You have to be kind, loving, and respectful. You can say whatever you want to whomever you want, me included, because I am not perfect. I screw up all the time. I probably screw up more than everybody on my team combined. But as long as you are respectful, you can say whatever you want. But if you're not respectful, I'll personally let you go.
Mm.
Right? I believe in second chances. I believe in having conversations and growing and coaching, but I don't believe in being disrespectful.
Yeah.
And so I've also taken that role away from my management team. And if somebody gets suspended and they have to come meet with me at our corporate office, that's a coach up, coach out moment. If you can't take accountability, if you can't recognize what you've done wrong and you can't grow from it, then we're not the place for you anymore.
Mm.
On the flip side, if we can take accountability and we can grow, then great. Let's move on. Let's never talk about it again. Like water under the bridge. Let's go. So I think that's shifted our culture a bit. We're a lot more flexible than we used to be. I think we're a lot more understanding than we used to be. Has it shown in numbers? No, not yet. But
It's a work
I'm
in
hopeful.
progress. Yeah, of course. Well,
Yeah.
yeah. Right. We've covered lots of stuff there. I want to just
I know,
go
sorry.
back a little bit. Hey, no, don't be sorry at all. Because I like the fact that, as I said to you beforehand, before we started recording, we're now getting listeners in over 100 countries. And I think every week, and I think that oftentimes when people listen to someone talking and they've got a successful business and a big business, and you have a successful big business, is that they don't always relate to it. And they sort of go, well, it's all right for you because, fill in the blank. But you've been really open and honest and transparent straight off the bat there about we've had to close salons, we've had to do this and that and the other. And, that is business. And I think it's important that people can see that, because I often talk about how every business is evolve, and what worked yesterday isn't necessarily going to work today. And you've got to be completely open and receptive to change. And sometimes that is change that's about growth and getting bigger. And sometimes it's about consolidating and finding a different, way to do this now, because what
Hmm.
worked 10 or 20 years ago isn't necessarily going to work today. And I think that underpins everything you're saying, that you've been around a
Yes.
while as a business, 50
Right.
odd years, but you're not afraid to change, or not too invested in, well, this is how we've always done it, so that's how we're going to do it in the future. But
Right.
you did touch on something which I just wanted to come back to, and that was the management team that you have. So
Hmm.
obviously, when you've got a lot of staff, I mean, how many people do you have now as employees with the company?
Plus or minus 20, about 520.
Right, so that's a lot of people. That's hard
A
to
lot of people.
know 520 names, etc. So what sort of roles do your management team have? Are they individual managers of each salon, or do you
Mhm.
have a sort of a head office management structure of, I don't know, HR and all that sort of stuff that you're dealing with as well, or is
I'm
that
like, I basically
that's
am
your
HR.
hat? Yeah, you're
Yeah.
it. You're it.
I wear a
Okay.
lot of hats.
Yes.
And I have great attorneys that I call
Yeah.
so that it's not my decision, but I know what I'm doing. And I have incredible attorneys who answer the phone like that and have helped me through some crazy, like crazy, crazy times. Um, Crazy times. Like, yeah. I am super hands-on. I know all of our people by name. I know their life. I know their family for the most part. I know their numbers. I like pride myself on it. I'm not great at meeting like people in my personal life and remembering their names, but I'm like, there's only so much room upstairs. Like, it's really there's a lot of people here. But we have two regional managers that have come up. I promoted them, let's see, I think it was 2021, like August of 2021-ish. So they've been really, really helpful, Jamie and Rosanna. And then we have store managers and we have store co-managers. So we have
Right.
two people per location.
Mm.
And then we have two regionals. The regionals are supposed to kind of split their salons, but they're a really good yin yang of each other. And so they split their salons, but they also communicate all the time, and then they'll flip flop when needed.
Mm.
And that's been really cool. Um, and yeah, I mean, none of us are perfect. And, I think when you grow up a certain way, there are things that you have to break, and expectations, I think, kill happiness and they kill joy. And so if you can shift that and say, okay, how can I appreciate somebody in this moment? How can I appreciate what they're bringing? Whether it's what you want or not, or what they even want or not, it will make you, you know, love your job a little bit more when you stop getting
Yeah.
disappointed.
Yeah. Okay. Do you, like, as a young woman, what are the challenges? I mean, your dad was or is a very strong figure.
Yes.
Johnny, your brother, who was running before you as COO, as a young woman running a business of 500 team members, I'm sure there are challenges with that, because you came in very young and you've evolved with the business over time and
Mhm.
obviously matured, and some of the staff have come and some of them have gone, etc. But what are some of the challenges
Absolutely.
that you've had
Mhm.
as a young woman running a business of that size?
I mean, when my brother and my dad were in the business, I mean, even at some of the events that we would go to, right? People look at me and they're like, "Oh my God, you're so pretty." And then they'd look at them and be like, "So how's business?"
Mm,
Right?
mm,
And I think that every industry, whether it's male dominated or not, like, it is male dominated and it is shifting, which is incredible. But I think even if it's not expected to be male dominated, once you get higher and higher at the top, it's like there's a lot of men in the room and a lot more men than women. And it's also finding your voice. I came into this company, I mean, I came in hot. My brother can tell you, my parents can tell you, I came in like super black and white. There's a right and a wrong way. I didn't see a whole lot of gray. I was young. I wanted to add value really well. I wanted to be impactful. I really cared, but I didn't show it well. They
mm.
didn't get to feel me because I was being who I thought the company needed, right? And I didn't see anybody super strong and super strict and disciplined. And so I became like almost a disciplinarian. I mean, I was rude. Like, I would walk into people and be like, "Why can't you wear a black shirt?" And I didn't know their name.
Mm.
Like, You know, I have made so many mistakes, like, it's crazy. I'm super grateful for the teams that we have because they've allowed me to grow, which is also why I'm a huge proponent of, second chances, third chances, fourth chances, as long as you're learning and you're getting better. But I've really calmed down and looked and said, I went to a Tony Robbins event and it completely shifted my life, and it probably saved my career because I realized how far away I was from who I truly am. And I am like the fun, bubbly personality. I want to have fun. I want to get things done. But like, we're working in hair salons. Like, this shouldn't be that difficult. We should be
Mm.
enjoying it all the time. And I wasn't. And as soon as I shifted my mentality, all of a sudden, everybody else became better and nicer and sweeter. And I loved my job again. But what I realized was I was walking in the salons looking for what was wrong every single time.
Yeah, yeah.
And when you look for what's wrong, you become miserable.
Mm.
And then that becomes your habit. So it correlates to every aspect of your life of like, well, what's wrong here? Well, what's wrong there? And it's very, very difficult to shift to say, okay, well, what's going well? What can I compliment on? What can I say? Hey, this is really good. And then I realized like my standards are very high and I'm like, it's clean, but is it clean enough?
Yeah.
It's nice, but is it nice enough? They look good, but do they look good enough?
Yeah.
I look good, but do I look good enough? And so then
Yeah.
it's like, okay, just stop and just compliment. Like, if you see something good, then say it.
Mm.
And I really had to like get back into my heart to show my heart and become super vulnerable with my team. And I've done that over and over and over again. I've shared about personal life. I was in a like verbally, emotionally abusive relationship. And I've shared that with my team after I got out of it. And so, you know, people look at you and they're going to judge you based on how you look. It's just who we are as human beings, but especially as women, you're constantly going to get it, right? And so you can take it personally, which I did for like the first, I don't know, 6 years of my career, which I still do at times when people are like, kind of, what do you know? Or they're like, oh, your parents built the company. Like, what are you doing? And I'm like, you know what? And that also feeds into like my imposter syndrome also, right? Where I'm like, can I do this? Is it theirs? Is it mine? I don't know. Has it shifted? Um, but then like, we have our big celebration days and people are like, I stay because of you. I'm here because of you. I did that number because of you. Like, I want to help you. I want this to grow for you. And I'm like, that, like, it makes like I've had like tear fests with people of just crying, like, we're doing this. I love I love the people that I work with. And on my days where I'm like, is this viable? Is this good? Like, there's no part of me that can walk away from them.
Mm.
And that's what I think you just have to hold on to, right? Is like the people who are cheering you on, even when you're like your worst version, because we are all that. And I've really tried to push unconditional love, and I've really tried to push it internally first. Like, you have to love yourself, or you're going to stay in bad relationships. You're going to stay in the job that treats you poorly. You're going to stay in abuse. And once you've learned how to love yourself, the people who have kind of taken advantage of you are probably going to get the angriest because now you have boundaries and things. And I want to be my best version every day. And there are days that I fail and there are days that I don't make it. But I also am like, maybe I can help shift somebody's perspective of a girl who's running a business with long blonde hair.
Yeah.
Maybe I can shift what the stereotype is, and maybe I can't. And if that's who they are, then that's great.
Mm.
I'm not here to change anybody. I'm here to just do the best that I can every day.
Yeah.
And that's what I want my team to do.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, look, there was so much good wisdom there. I wrote down a
I
little
know.
quote that that someone once said to me. I had a business coach, and he said something to me very similar to what you just said. He said, "Catch people doing something right and tell them." And that had to become my mantra because I was
Yeah.
so focused on what's wrong. What are they doing wrong? What's wrong with the place? How can
Yes.
it be better? And that bit that you just said there, I just thought that is gold just in itself. So so thanks for that. I think a lot
And
of people should take from it.
not only just at work, right? Like, it's 2025. People are struggling.
Mm.
If you see somebody that you like what they're wearing, right? Or you like what they're doing or listening to or whatever, like, just tell them.
Mm.
Right? If somebody's nice to you, say thank you. Oh my gosh, how are you so nice? Like, you've been the best server today. You've been the best bartender. You've been the best coffee server, right? Starbucks the Starbucks that I go to now writes little notes on them. And I'm like, this is so cute. Like, my name is Megan. They write Meg the Stallion, which is a rapper in America that
Yeah,
came
yeah,
from
yeah,
Houston. And so I'm like, this is funny. Like, I'm like, it doesn't take much to make somebody smile.
yeah.
And why wouldn't you want to, right?
Right.
Like, that's my whole thing is I'm like, just do a compliment a day.
Yeah,
Compliment your team.
yeah. That
You
must
know,
be
it doesn't have to be the whole picture. It can be, I like your shirt today, or I like your hair today, or I
yeah,
like your shoes today, or you look professional today. Really love this outfit.
yeah,
You look elevated.
yeah,
I want to elevate our industry and I want to elevate the reputation that hairdressers have.
yeah. Yeah. On your Instagram, you
Yeah.
share a lot of these great reels on Instagram. And I congratulated you on them before we started recording because I
Yes.
think they're very authentic and natural and very relatable. And as we both laughed about that and said that, oftentimes you might do, 10 or 15 takes before you actually publish one. I'm
Literally.
exactly the same. And
Yeah,
it doesn't come easily, but it's a really important part of, the job. But
it is.
one of them, you said, I've written it down, so I'm going to read it. It said, you said on this reel, we've always been a collection of hair salons that had products. And now the dream is to be a product company that has hair salons. So why the change? Because that is a huge, change in dynamic as a business. So tell us about that.
It is a huge change. Um, obviously our industry has shifted. And when I look at it, I'm looking saying, okay, our profitability is not what it used to be. It's not even close. So, how do I sustain us while also alleviating some of the frustration, some of the fear, some of the question of can we last and how long can we last, right? So, we've always had our own product line. Our product line now is absolutely incredible. I have our girl Sandra, who's our director of education and our product development. She has done a phenomenal job having like the best quality ingredients. And our hair products are designed for Texas heat and humidity, which is incredible because that's where we are.
Yeah.
But I'm like climate change, the world change, all of the things. There's a lot of heat and humidity nationwide now, right? And to do products now, you have to have higher minimums. We got dropped from our aerosol company. We've been looking at, okay, what's our minimum? If we can sell 10,000 units, but it takes us 3 years, are they going to want to continue to do business with us?
Mm.
Can they sustain it? How much of the natural ingredients do they have to purchase before they make what we make? And is that a viable option for them?
Mm.
And for a lot of people, it's not anymore, right? The price of ingredients has gone up, the minimum orders have gone up. And so I'm looking saying, how do I stay in this? How do I build? And also, how do I rebrand and make a name for ourselves that might be a little bit separate, but also that can touch more people? My personal mission in life is to help people feel good, right? I want people to love themselves. And I'll just talk a little bit about what our future bottle looks like. Our future bottle has a little heart on it. And the philosophy behind it is until you can really love you, we're going to love you through it. And all that we ask is you take 5 minutes a day to make yourself look good, because when we look good, we feel good. When we feel good, we're nicer, right? And so I don't care if I have like no makeup on, but my hair is beautiful. I'm like, oh my gosh, amazing. Like I'm unstoppable, right? When I need my color done, I'm like, oh my God, I'm so ugly. My life is falling apart. And then I get highlights and I'm like, oh, it's okay. We're okay. Right. And so I feel super passionately about it. I think that when you get up and you get dressed and you look good and you feel good, you can conquer more of the day. Not to say that that makes up for other stuff, because obviously we all struggle,
Mm.
but it does help. And so that's what I really want our line to be. And I don't want it just to be in our salons. I want it to be nationwide. I want to make people happy. I want to help them love themselves. I want to help them learn how to take care of their hair. Um, Also, there's obviously profitability in that, but more than that, like I really want the message to go out. We've put a lot of thought into the messaging of it. And I just think people struggle really hard with loving yourself and staying authentic and being who you are. And, we talked about those reels and every single time I do a video, I'm like, oh my God, you're such an idiot. Nobody wants to listen to you. Nobody wants to hear this. Why are you doing this? What's the point? What's this? What's that? Right. And, I was in a dark place for a long time. And if I can help one person feel like they're not alone when they're in a dark place, then like that's what started me wanting to do this.
Mm.
And so I have imposter syndrome every time I do videos. I have like it freaks out if you're starting to do it. Like I want to quit every single time. I mean, I haven't posted consistently in a long time because I kind of like freaked out again, and now I'm like building myself up. But it's also funny because every time I talk to somebody or see somebody who I haven't seen in a long time, they're like, "Oh my God, I love your videos." And I'm like, "Do you really? Are you sure?"
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
are you positive?
I said it to you. It was one of the first things we said on this call.
Yes.
And
And I'm
I
so
loved
grateful.
it
I'm
because
so grateful when people say it because I'm like, "Oh, I feel like I'm an idiot. Like I feel
no,
so crazy."
but that's what that's it's that authenticity that I think
Yeah.
is what people love. And it's like on this, you are who you are, like what we're doing this podcast.
Right.
I mean, you just are who you are and you're very human. And it would be so easy for you in the situation that you're in with a big company, a very successful business, with a great heritage, for you to not be the way you are. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I think that's a
And I
real
think that's
asset.
so important too, right? Like the way I look at life now is like there's only one of you. You're unique. You have your own fingerprints, right? Nobody else in the world has your fingerprints.
Mm,
So there's only one you. Stop trying to be somebody else. Stop if you're taking over a family business, you're not going to be your parents. If you're
mm,
taking over a business from somebody else, you're not going to be your old boss. And I love my parents. I respect them. I respect what they've built in this company. This company is incredible. And they have so many benefits that they've built themselves before it was even thought of or taught or known. And I wouldn't have even been able to do it. And I'm so grateful for them. But I look at them and I'm like, look, I want to honor what you guys have built, but I'm not you. And I'm never going to be you. And I don't want to be you. I'm me. And now I know that my power comes from that, right? Because I didn't have it for a long time. And now I'm like, no, no, no. I know who I am. And I'm not everybody's cup of tea. And that's okay too, right? But with dating, I'm somebody's perfect match. I'm somebody's
mm,
perfect type. And so if they don't want you, move on to the next
mm.
because they might not be your perfect type either, right?
Yeah,
So
yeah.
it's also learning like, and I think it comes with age. I think it comes with really dark times and tough times. And I think when you lose yourself in a relationship or you lose yourself in a job or you just lose yourself mentally, right? And you go through a dark patch or depression or anxiety or it gets the best of you, that's really where you find who you are, right? It's not through the good times. It's through the bad times.
Mm,
And how you deal with that and how you come out of that and how you shift your life after is what says the most about you, right? If you're in an abusive relationship and you're like, I don't know how to get out, then ask somebody for help. If you've gotten out of one, then congratulations, right? If you've been stuck in a job where somebody doesn't appreciate you, then maybe you need to vocalize it before you just completely shift gears. And if you have vocalized it, maybe it's time to go. You know, I always tell our people, I'm like, before you leave, come talk to me.
mm.
I want to know what's going on. On the flip side of that, though, when they come talk to me and I'm like, have you told your manager? No. Have you told your co-manager? No. Have you told your regional manager? No. Then why are you talking to me?
Because you said, yeah,
Right.
yeah.
But like you haven't even communicated that you're upset.
Mm,
And so I really want people to learn how to communicate when you're upset, right? That's why I say you can say whatever you want to me. And I've had somebody, how I got here is like I've had somebody sit and be like, "Well, I want to tell you, but I don't want to be rude." And I'm like, "Then don't. You don't have to be." And I used to be rude when I would tell people things.
mm,
Like I almost like felt good because I was like, "Oh yeah, I'm gonna be strong and I'm gonna be this." And so like you need to da 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 da. And now I'm like, you can be honest and kind.
mm,
You can say, "Hey, I really didn't like how you talked to me here. Was your intention to be rude? Because it really hurt my feelings." And they can then say it was or it wasn't, right? And that's a lot better than saying you did this, you did that, blah 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 blah. And I just think it's healthier. Now, I also, I don't do this perfectly all the time. My personal life can be difficult and I'm not always my best self, but these are the principles that I try to embody and I try to really focus on to say, we're all struggling, we're all doing the best that we can, but we also need to communicate. And if you're upset, and you're not communicating that to somebody, that's on you. That's not on them,
Yeah, good
you know?
advice. Okay.
Yeah.
You also, on one of those reels, talked about, and you touched on it before we started recording today, that currently all of your salons are in malls, which isn't that
Yes.
unusual in the US. Salons are in malls. But it surprised me to hear you say that you're thinking about possibly opening standalone sort of boutique
Mhm.
salons. So again, that's a really great example of everything you've just spoken about, that you're not your mum and your dad, and this is another era, this is another decade, and the world is a constantly shifting place, and what worked for them may not work anymore, for you. So I admire you for having the courage to even put that on the agenda. So tell us about
Mhm.
that. What are your thoughts about that?
I believe in God. I don't push that on anybody else. Whatever you believe in, if you believe in something, higher power, the universe, whatever. Um, I actually had been negotiating a lease outside of a mall for a year and lost it at the last second. It actually went to somebody who used to work for us. And so that was kind of like a double-edged sword. That
Mm,
one kind of hurt a little bit. Um, but I'm also like, you know what? It wasn't meant to be. And that kind of rerouted me to say, you know what? Do I want to do a standalone? Absolutely. Is now the right time? Maybe it's not. Maybe it's not. All I know is that I want it to be the right place. And so I pray on it a lot. I'm still actively searching for an outside location. There are a couple of locations that I would like to move outside of the mall. And, you know, will it work? I have no idea. The one great thing that we have is 47 years in business with an incredible reputation.
mm,
Thank you to anybody who has worked here, especially at the beginning, to build this. Um, but we are a name brand now and we're recognized. And so I think that we're a destination and I think that we can absolutely be successful outside of a mall. I think we're going to have to shift what we're doing and how we take care of people, how we rebook people, things like that. But ideally, I would love to have a couple of different versions of us. I would love to stay in malls also because I think malls have a lot of foot traffic, and I
mm.
think that's a really great place to build and to grow. Um, and I've kind of looked and said, okay, if I want to build an outside location, do I want to spend my money there right now? Do I want to spend it on a rebrand of our product line? After that one kind of fell through, I'm like, okay, maybe it's time for a rebrand of the product line. And then that's had its own hiccups. So it's been it's we've definitely I have had a lot of challenges. Um but I'm also like, you know what, it's not my timing, it's God's timing. And so what will work out, what's meant to be will be.
Mm.
And I'm just really working on patience because it's not on the timeline that I want it to be on.
Yeah, yeah. And you're patient. Yeah,
I struggle with patience.
yeah.
I struggle deeply with
Yeah.
patience.
Well, I know you also set this, and I'm only asking you this because you put it on Instagram. So if you put it on Instagram, it's like open material.
For sure.
You said your goal was
Yes.
that you want to get to $100 million company, so 100 million a
Hmm.
year, which is a big chunk of change in any language.
It is.
And you shared on that episode on that reel that the business peaked at 66 million. Um,
Yes.
so, how important to you is that goal? And is that where the product side of it comes into it, or you don't necessarily care where it comes from? It's just this is the stake in the sand that I've put for myself to get to a business that size.
So I have looked at our stations. We have 488 stations throughout the salons that we have right now.
Mm,
Actually, that number might include North Star. So now it's probably around like 440 stations. At the time that I recorded that, we still had our North Star location, which is a salon in Dallas that I've since closed. But what I looked at is how much the chair can produce, right? So if each chair was producing 150,000, we'd be at around 73 million. And if each chair was producing 200,000, then we'd be at 97, almost 98 million.
hmm
And so I'm like, we have the space. We have the possibility of it, right? It's just now building that.
mm,
And so if we can get people to that and we still have some people hitting higher, we still will have people hitting lower, right? But what does that look like? Well, right now we just need to fill our stations. That's my goal. I want to beat 66 million. I wasn't in the company when that happened. That was in 2011. So what, 25 years ago now?
Yeah.
That year we did $1 million in feathers.
In
Feathers were a huge thing.
What,
In
feathers? Proper feathers?
When we clipped the feathers into the hair, we did $1 million in feathers that year.
My God. Okay. Who would
Yep.
have thought there was that
How
sort of money in
wild.
that? Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, exactly. Okay. Well, good luck with that goal.
I
That's
mean, we
fantastic.
were buying all the feathers from all of the roosters and all the things. Here's my thing with goals, because people will comment on them and say what you want. I am a true believer in, like, shoot for the moon. If you land on the stars, then you land on the stars, right? But I also think that we speak things into existence, and if you don't speak what you want, then it's never going to happen. And so there's a huge part of me, right? There's a huge part of me that's like, oh my God, is that ever going to happen? Oh my God, that's now on the internet. Oh my God, because our social media girl came in and she just rapid fired 50 questions in an hour. And so I actually have no idea what she's posting. And then I just go in and I see it and I'm like, okay,
Yeah.
But that is my goal. That is my dream. And that will be with products in it, is the 100 million. But also I want to build a product company that is separate from that. And my hallucination goal on that is to build like $1 billion product company. Do I think that I have what it takes to do that? I think there are a lot of steps before I get there. But again,
it's possible.
If I shoot
People
for the
have done
moon
it.
and land on the stars,
Yeah.
then great. If I get it to 100 million separate, then how cool would that be? If I get it to 10 million, if I get it to 5 million, you know what I mean? Like, we've got to get there some point, but I don't know. I think that having a vision board and dreams and crazy aspirational goals are really important. And I think it's also important to have some that are realistic and try to, have a plan to build you there. But
Okay, so let me ask you about, I know you've
Right.
had some real record breakers. One lady, I don't know, 10 years ago now, whatever it was, did 600,000 or whatever the number was, close to it. Was 600,000? Is that the benchmark?
It was like 612,500, I
Right.
think.
And 1 year
And
behind the chair.
people in 1 year behind the chair, and people have given her a lot of slack online. Like, that's not true. How can you do that? Da, 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 da. How could you have a life? What people don't understand is we have had walkouts of our salons. So we have built people who have started to produce 500, 600,000, 300,000, 400,000, right? And then they get a group together and they walk out. So our first walkout took our salon from 7.5 million down to 4 overnight, like that, right? That's super painful. That's really hurtful, especially because we really do everything we can to take care of our people. We say that we're a family, and not like a toxic kind. We say we're family because we love you. And it doesn't just change overnight. I've had people even ask me, well, when people leave, whatever. And I'm like, you don't get to just like turn love off, right? Like, you don't just stop. Like, that hurts. And I don't think that people really understand that. But the person who held our record was one of the people who left. And so Christine, who now holds our record, looked at it and looked at how hurt my parents were and said, you know what? I'm going to sacrifice and I'm going to hit the record because I want them to be proud of who holds the record in this company because of everything that they've done for me, for my family, and for everyone here. And so she worked almost every single day from like open to close, like went to one of the little massage places to rub her feet every night to hit this goal, to do incredible things, right? So that my parents could be proud. And so that the record holder would still be within visible changes.
And is she still there?
And so that is definitely an anomaly. She's still here. And on her off year, right, when she doesn't really want to work a lot and she travels all the time, she can still produce 260,000, right?
Incredible.
And so like her easy year now, because she's done so well, she knows how to make the money. Her easy year now is 320,000, 340,000. So it's not the full 600, but it is still 300, right? Our number one person last year was 340,000. And we have incredible bonuses. So she got an incredible bonus off that. Then we had our celebration day. She got $20,000 in bonuses on that. You know, my
So,
parents have set up incredible benefits.
yeah.
And the more you do, the more you get.
How many people would you have at the $250,000 level that are doing that sort of money behind the chair a year out of the business with, 500 odd team members?
I think right now we have 5.
Right. Okay. So it's more than possible. If you put the graft
It's
in,
definitely possible.
yeah, you work hard.
Absolutely.
And I think what the
And we have
listeners,
some people who are really high in their retail sales, because this is total sales also,
yeah,
right?
yeah.
It's retail sales plus service sales. And we have people who are doing 12% retail, and we have people who are doing 26% retail. And so, and our number one person last year did 18% retail.
Right. Okay.
So I think her number off the top of my head was like 60-ish, 66,000 in retail dollars. That helps you.
Yeah, big time.
It helps you work smarter, not harder. It helps you. I mean, I say what we do is manual labor. So I'm like, stop working so hard and work smart. Open your mouth. They trust you.
Yeah, exactly.
They want to look good. I'm a client. I want to look good. Teach me about my hair.
Yeah.
Teach me how to style it. Teach me how to take care of it. Teach me how to look good. I'm never going to look as good as you can make me look, but that doesn't mean that I shouldn't look good when I need to, right? I should be able to do my hair for a podcast. I should be able to do my hair for a wedding. I should be able to do my hair for a night out or a date or a job interview. It might not be as great as you do, but I should still look good.
Yeah, for sure. Okay. Well, listen, I could talk to you for hours. You've got so many great insights about different things, but we're running out of time. But there is one thing I want to ask you about. And that is that, probably when we last spoke, I don't think it was recorded, but we would have been talking about the challenge a business like yours has with people wanting to become self-employed. And that has only amplified since we last talked 6 years ago. So how has a business like yours been able to, there's really two questions here. There's one about Gen Z, and how have you been able to accommodate people who want to be part-time and want to be, want more flexibility, period, whatever the word flexibility means. And you sort of said you've become a much more flexible company. So how have you sort of integrated more flexibility into the business, and have you introduced any other employment models, or are they all employees?
No, we haven't. I'll start there. We have not introduced any other employment models.
Right.
We don't believe in it. I really don't believe in it. Our biggest thing is you get further as a team than you do as an individual. There are going to be times that you run behind and somebody needs to help you. There are going to be times that you're so busy that somebody sweeps for you, that somebody does all these things. And we are quick, right? Like our average haircut time is 30 minutes. We want to be the best bang for the buck. And we're also not super expensive. Our men's price goes from $25 to $60. Our women's price goes from $30 to $80. We have an and up because we are in Texas. And so a lot of the hair is big, thick hair. So if it takes extra time because you have so much hair, there's an additional charge, right? Because we want them to also be compensated for their time and their labor, right? And so we're super affordable, in my opinion, but we also want to get you in and out. Time is the biggest value that we have that we don't get more of. And so we want to do the best bang for the buck in the best amount of time without compromising quality. And so that part has been a little bit harder with the Gen Z generation, getting them from an hour down. They get scared and they can do it. We can all do it. You just have to kind of be pushed to it and say, okay, I'm going to time myself now. And how do I get faster? And how do I get better? And how do I, and we have to be constantly growing. We have classes that we have twice a month once you get out of our training program, then once a month after that, then, 3 times a year after that. But we also have little pop-ups in the salon. So our senior people are constantly teaching our junior people, hey, this is how you do it. And then our junior people have started teaching our senior people like, hey, here are the trendy haircuts, because when you're open, you get the walk-ins. When you get the walk-ins, you're getting the trendy cuts. And so it's really cool to see them integrate in. Booth rental has obviously been a huge deterrent for our entire industry. And that, it sucks. Like, just to be blunt, like it does. It sucks. It's really hurt our business. And so like I said, 6 years ago, I said, we're done talking about it. I'm done talking about booth rental. I don't even want it to be a thought. I don't want it to be a comment. I don't want to talk about it at all. I want to talk about how do we get better. I want to talk about how do we grow. I want to talk about how do we get to financial freedom, right? How do we get to a thing? And honestly, I've looked at our numbers, and I've even told our team, like, where people are hitting their numbers, especially their first 3 or 5 years, it's not a sustainable lifestyle. And so I feel like I've failed as a leader because they're not getting to numbers that are giving them a great lifestyle. And so I really take that on, and I take that personally to say, okay, we're doing something wrong and we need to shift. And that's kind of where we are right now. Like, we're a people business. We have to be there when the people are there. You're not coming out of school and automatically everybody loves you. I don't care how much of a following that you have on social media and all those things. It's not happening, right? You have to be there when clients want to come in. And the best thing that I can tell you is make them fall in love with you as fast as you can, right? The easiest way to do that is to get them to talk about themselves. So if you can do that, then you can make them love you. Then you can start to demand the time that you want to work. But that takes time. And so, people say this generation doesn't want to work, but I have tons of people who are working 6 days a week by choice because they want to grow and they want to learn, right? And it's getting what I think is the most important thing that you can do is I am not a licensed hairdresser, right? And not a whole lot of people on our management team are either. The most effective people for a hairdresser are senior hairdressers who have done it. So you have to have the mentorship. And so we've really pushed that this year of bringing back mentorship because people were like, no, I don't have time, or I'm not good, or I can't talk in front of people. And I'm like, no, you've become successful here. Even if you're not right now, right? We have people who have hit 200,000 in the past and who are like, I'm good at 150. I'm good at 120. I'm good at 130. And I'm like, okay, but you know what it takes to get there. So teach them, because you're going to be way more effective than I ever will. I mean, I could sit with people every day, all day, but they don't respect me in the same way they respect a hairdresser. And that's okay, right? Like, I know that, and that's okay. I don't expect it. I expect our senior people to step up and to help our junior people. And that you don't get in a booth rent. And so that's what makes us special, right? Is we have all of these benefits and all of these great things, but also we have people who can teach you every day. We have people that you can go to when you're with a client. You're like, oh my God, I don't know what to do with this formula. Oh my God, I think I know, but I need to go, like, we all want that validation that we're on the right track. And so I think that's what makes us super special, is that we have an incredible team who have been super successful. And what I'm really trying to do now is stop judging each other, stop looking at what divides you, and look at what unifies you. Look at what you have similar, right? We could all look at each other and say, oh my gosh, I hate you because you believe this politically, or you believe this socially, or you believe this conservatively, financially, whatever. We could all do that. But when are you looking, saying, okay, I love you regardless of what you believe, because I love you as a person, as the kind, generous, thoughtful, sweet, loving person that you are. Great. So stop looking at the next generation saying, oh my God, they just da-da-da. I'm like, okay, every generation has done that. And so I tell our senior people too, I'm like, didn't your parents tell you the same thing? You don't work as hard. You don't work because you're different. But different is okay. You might not understand it, but it's okay. I work differently than my parents did. They may have a problem with it, right? But I look and I say, you know what? Here's how I want my impact to be. Also, these little things weren't around then. And so I'm connected to people all the time. I mean, I have people call me at 8:30 in the morning on a Sunday, 12:30 at night on a Friday, right? But we're available all the time, and we care. And, I just think that we have a really, here's my true belief. I've never prayed more than I have after COVID. And I think God is good. And there is every excuse in the book for us to not be successful and for us to have closed. And the fact that we're still here is because we're supposed to be.
That is a perfect place to wrap this up.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Well, listen, we've gone way over time, but I don't want to cut you off. You've had so many good things to say, and I know a lot of people will get benefit from it. Whereabouts can people connect with you on Instagram or other social media channels?
Instagram is perfect. I actually haven't moved to TikTok because I'm old. I don't understand it. I know I need to move to it. but I don't know how. So I'm learning that. But Instagram is great. I would say Instagram because I hate emails. So find me at Instagram. It's Meagan9, MEAGANANNE, the number 9. But I'm not always great at responding to things. You know, I get overwhelmed by my phone a lot when I have a lot of stuff to do. I'm like, okay, I'll handle that later. But I'm an open book. So if anybody wants to know anything, if they want to talk, they want to ask me a question, they want to know whatever, like, I'm an open book. I'm transparent as I can be. So feel free.
Okay. All right. Well, listen, I'll put those links on our website and in the show notes, obviously, for today's podcast. So to wrap up, Meagan Miss McCormack, thank you for being on this week's episode of the Grow My Salon Business podcast.
Absolutely. It was so fun. Thank you for having me.
Not at all. I look forward to the next one, another 5 years' time. And seeing what sort of
hopefully sooner than that.
Yeah, I hope it's sooner than that. So I'll
yeah,
hold you to
me
that.
too. Okay.